It is Tuesday, March 2nd, and welcome back to The Advantage, where we take you through the latest in political ads and spending. I'm Rachel.
And I am Ben. How's everybody doing this week?
You might have noticed we have an additional face with us today. This is our colleague DJ. He is the architect of our Twitter presence, so if you follow us, then you have definitely seen his work. And we want to talk about something that was up on Twitter in the last 2 weeks, which was our political ads bracket. It was a lot of fun. It was a way to review 2020 political ads and get a sense from the all-knowing internet what the crowd favorite ads were of the cycle. So DJ, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. We decided that, during the election season, we all kind of get bogged down with these ads, but they're fun, and a lot of them are weird and awesome and need to be celebrated. So we decided to do a crowdsourced bracket of what was the best ad of the 2020 political cycle, and we got some really fun entries.
So how did you go about gathering these ads? I know we all just watch a lot of ads, so I personally sent you a list of like 50 probably. Yeah. But how did you settle down on these 16?
Yeah, so it was crowdsourced. So we went to Twitter and asked, and then we got replies to the tweet. We got DMs, and then we also went to the staff here at Ad Impact and asked for that for input there.
So you can see the full list of ads that were part of the option on our website at the link below, and you can watch everything that was up for consideration. But it got narrowed down finally to the top two, and what were those top two?
So the top two were the Warnock dog ad, which we kind of assumed was going to be up there from the beginning, and then surprise crowd favorite, Poor Trump, from the Trump campaign.
And that one was catchy.
That was the earworm of the bracket for sure.
The Despacito of this bracket.
Despacito.
So we kind of had two very different ads here, right? We have this kind of tongue-in-cheek Trump dancing ad that ran on Spanish language TV in South Florida, and you have this ad that I think is probably going to go down as a very famous ad, this Warnock ad. Set the table a little bit on this Warnock ad, where, kind of the context behind it and how it played into the Georgia Senate races.
So the Warnock ad was actually more of a series of ads, but this one kind of grabbed everyone's attention. It featured this beagle, who we just found out yesterday is not actually his beagle.
Wait, I thought it was his beagle.
It's not his beagle.
He does have a beagle, right?
He may have a beagle, but it's not the beagle featured in the ad, apparently. Yeah. Shocker. Anyway.
I've been lying to people for months.
Me too. All of our stuff on the website says it's his beagle. Anyway. So it's a series of ads that feature his beagle, and feature him just kind of being a happy, regular, normal person with a beagle to counteract all of the negative ads that were airing about him being a radical leftist. So this ad in particular has him walking his dog in the suburbs like a regular person, whereas Loeffler was trying to paint him as, and Perdue, actually, they were both attacking him, trying to paint him as a radical who was trying to attack the suburbs.
He's wearing a vest, he's walking his dog in this nice kind of leafy suburb.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very clever ad, because Loeffler and Perdue are running these ads, taking kind of his sermons out of context and playing them in a negative light, attacking troops and police and things like that. So it was really kind of a clever way to cut against that, and it was clearly very successful. Obviously, he won, and he actually outran Ossoff there.
Yeah. And, instead of attacking the attack ads with more attack ads, he plays them off with humor. In the end, he says, "We Georgians understand what these are," and drops a doggy bag of poop in the trash can. So, clever way to say, we know better. These attack ads aren't real. It's a bunch of bullcrap. Dog crap.
Well said. Were there some ads in here that you were surprised didn't go further?
Yeah. Honestly, I was surprised that Poor Trump beat the Massachusetts.
Ed
Markey, thank you. I was blanking on his name. The Dealmaker, I thought, was an incredible ad that took Ed Markey from old white guy in Massachusetts to really cool old white guy in Massachusetts. I was surprised that Silence Him didn't make it further. It did well, but I thought that was a fantastic ad where it promotes mail-in voting by showing Trump as a bubble that gets filled in and silenced. I thought that was a interesting ad.
We had a good time here in the office with Spot a Zombie, which came out of the Trump campaign, which was, I think we talked about it on one of our shows, and we might have even shown it, which, they were going after Joe Biden, but they actually aired it during Fear the Walking Dead, which was just kind of a fun little play on
I thought that was by far the best Trump ad of the cycle.
Yeah.
I would have voted for that over poor Trump many a time, but that's just my own taste, I guess.
Well, you didn't have a Twitter legion following you in voting.
That's true. I'm not a phenomenon like you. I think my favorite series of ads were probably the Loeffler Attila the Hun ads. I think those were probably, along with the dog ad, which is probably going to be remembered as the most memorable ads of this cycle. Watching them, I really got the Bud Light ads? I really got a similar vibe out of those. Just very funny, very clever. Ultimately unsuccessful, and you can kind of see the difference there. Loeffler was playing very hard into the I'm more conservative than Attila the Hun versus I walk a beagle in a vest in the suburbs.
Yeah.
An interesting contrast there for sure. But I thought that ad probably would have gone a little further.
Yeah, it was interesting to see how, just depending on our Twitter followers, who retweeted what got mentioned, and that had, it's the internet, so things didn't work out the way we
very
thought.
objective and scientific. But it was definitely a fun way to look at some of the either more inspiring or more lighthearted ads of the cycle. We are bombarded in a political, particularly a presidential year, with a lot of really heavy messaging and in some cases some ugly ads. And this was I think a fun highlight of ways that politicians and their teams were trying to get their message out there in a way that would be memorable and is also, it's just kind of fun, right? These are enjoyable ads to watch. It's 30 seconds that you don't regret spending.
I think there's a lesson here though in the dog ad winning is that your messaging really does matter, and having a snappy jingle and this and that isn't really the most important thing. Like if you look through these, the Lincoln Project ads, which are probably the most talked about for the majority of the cycle, didn't really do well. And there's, a certain Lincoln Project burnout. I think that people are just a little bit tired of it. But the Priorities USA did a study. I don't know if you guys saw this. They did a study comparing somewhat boring generic ads versus these kind of flashy Lincoln Project ads, and they found that their boring ads talking about policy and talking about steady leadership were ultimately more successful than these kind of super flashy, super over-the-top ads. So I think there is a message. The thing that often does well on our Twitter polls does not necessarily correlate with persuading voters. And that's exactly what this study found for Priorities, is that Twitter success almost had an inverse relationship with actually persuading voters.
Yeah, and that's one thing I found in going back over these ads at the end of the bracket was we asked political junkies and then us in the office who are like political ad junkies to the nth degree to submit ads. And so what we gave were shocking, weird, funny ads. But the winning ads were two ads that really weren't. The dog ad was funny. They both were kind of funny, but they weren't the ones that left you going, what? Or like, whoa! They were ads that like communicated the message.
That's a political ad.
What? Yes, all the time. They were ads that communicated a message in an effective way.
Yeah.
The Trump ad got "The economy's by Trump" stuck in your ear for days, and then the Warnock ad, was very effective at saying I'm normal, and these things that they're saying about me are blatant lies. They weren't trying to shock and awe.
I totally agree. If you look at the Parasite ad from the Lincoln Project that they ran against Lindsey Graham in South Carolina, it was kind of just a viscerally disgusting ad. You have maggots crawling out of corpses and stuff. And while that is kind of funny, and I think we all on the internet thought it was funny, if as a persuadable voter in South Carolina, I don't know who's going to see that and be like, that's what's going to persuade me. I feel like it has a little bit of the inverse effect where it's just so over the top that you kind of have a little bit of a recoil effect. So I do think there is something to be said for more of a steady messaging. Though maybe that differs in the primary. If you look at some of the Marjorie Taylor Greene ads in here that were very, very successful, you do wonder if there's a little bit of it's time to kind of go over the top in the primary, you win the primary, and you tack back towards the middle. And that seems to be reflected in the ads we see here.
Yeah.
And I think that's true across the board, right? You
Sure.
You need the name recognition to win in the primary, you need the shock and awe campaign, then you actually have to be electable and win a broader swath of voters, which makes sense. We see that up and down political strategies.
Yeah.
So thank you for sticking with us on a little bit of a more fun and lighthearted episode today. This was a lot of fun for us. We really appreciate everybody who voted in the bracket. If you don't follow us on Twitter, you are missing out. You can follow us at @impact_POL. If you are interested in non-political information, you can also follow our main Twitter account at @impact. Thank you all, and we will be back in a couple of weeks with some more hard-hitting insights next time.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great week, and please tweet at us if that is actually Raphael Warnock's dog, because I really want to know. Thanks, guys.